One of the issues of being a bike racer that travels is inevitably you'll have to travel by an airplane, and shipping your bike or traveling with your bike through an airline is a major, major, major hassle, especially if it's a major race. And well, actually, any race that you're willing to fly, get on a plane and fly is going to be a major race. But that said, it's nerve wracking because you want to be professional and have everything you need there with you. And more importantly, you want to not overpack because you have weight restrictions. You just have literally only have so many arms to carry this stuff unless you have an entourage to help you, which, hey, props to you if you got that. I don't have those things. I only have two arms. And invariably, I end up traveling with about 150 pounds worth of gear on average. Yeah, 135. That said, I am about to go in about a week, 8 days, get on an airplane to fly to France, Paris, and then somehow get to Roubaix, train or whatever, car, not sure yet. That said, that adds another level of logistics because traveling in America, since we have larger cars, it's not as big of a deal. But when you have you're traveling to Europe, the vehicles are much, much, much smaller, and unless you get a Sprinter van, or something like that, and so you have to be mindful of how much luggage you carry. So generally speaking, when I travel, travel with a hard shell case, semi-hard shell case, that holds three wheels, and I'm a track racer. But ironically, that said, since I race on a bike that only has one gear, no brakes, it ends up being roughly about 135, 100 and under 150 pounds worth of stuff, but more than 130. And yeah, so that said, I'm trying to this trip trying to absolutely minimize my stuff, and because normally I would travel with the hardshell bike case, a 28-inch hardshell case, suitcase, and a 26-inch hardshell case. What I would normally do is get on the airplane with a backpack just to minimize the amount of crap I have to carry and put over in the bin. But this time I'm going to try to just travel with the bike case, a 28 hardshell case, a 22-inch soft carry-on suitcase, and a backpack. And being a planner and being completely anal, it seemed to work. And what I'm going to show you is how I pack the bike. And the funny thing is my new race bike is actually a little bit heavier, a couple pounds heavier than my old one. And that said, the problem is, even with my old one, I couldn't carry all my bike gear in the case itself. I had to take the pedals out or something like that. So last night, being, again, as anal as I am, I went ahead and practice packed my bike. Two disc wheels, front and rear, a match sprint race tri-spoke, the frame and fork, and amazingly everything fits. So what I'm going to show you here is that process. And instead of doing a voiceover, I'll just talk over the time lapse and kind of describe what's happening. So here we go. Okay, so just getting the bike set up with the case, and I am taking the pedals off. And my cranks are the narrowest cranks you can buy when they're the Watch Shop Kratos cranks, but they use these inserts in order for you to adjust the length of the crank. So not only are they 129 millimeters, 126 millimeters narrow, you can adjust the length of the crank, and they have these inserts that you can adjust them. So that said, what happened here as I'm taking the seat post off, one of the issues with the Strom, it's not a massive issue, it's not hardly an issue at all, is that the seat post wedge that binds the seat post in place has a little grub screw, and that screw, I used a 2.5 millimeter or 2.2 millimeter Allen head, a bolt, nut, screw, that is coming loose, and it literally fell, and I was trying to take a picture of like what happened. So what I'm trying to do here is try to put some Loctite on that tiny little screw, and and hope it doesn't come loose again. The funny thing is that the screw fell out, right, while it was in the frame, but it fell into this tiny, 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 tiny hole that literally looks like it was meant for that screw. And hopefully I'll put a picture of it up here and pause the video. I just couldn't believe it because I just figured as soon as I pulled the seat post out, then the wedge, the screw holds the two wedge pieces together, and I just figured, okay, well, you're gonna have to flip the bike. When I saw the pieces come out in two, it's supposed to be in one set. The screw holds the two wedges together. I figured, okay, well, you're gonna have to flip the bike over and try to get that screw out. And not wanting to panic, I just calmly decided to put my stuff down and go look down the hole. And I was like, I'll be darned. It literally is sitting on this little shelf inside where the seat post sits in. It's a little shelf that just happens to be there. But more importantly, not only was the shelf, but there's a tiny little hole, and that screw had fallen into the hole. I don't know if Strom designed it that way. If they did, props to you guys, but that's probably giving you too much credit. But I just had to take a picture of it because I couldn't believe that it fell in there. And also I wanted to make sure that it was ferrous, because having to fish it out, I only had one shot to flip it over and catch it. So I decided to go and find a magnet, or retrieval magnet, and luckily that worked. It pulled it right out. So now I'm putting on Loctite and letting that set while I get everything ready. And that was the picture of that was just an image of the wedge, and just getting everything set up. Well, the great thing about this case is the fact that you can put in the bike with the handlebars in place as opposed to taking the bars off. Funny thing is when I went to go pack this earlier in the year when I flew to Portugal, I completely forgot about that feature. I took the bars off just out of, I've flown with this like 2 or 3 times now at this point. And I took the bars off and I'm like, you idiot, you don't need to do that. And this case actually was designed for triathletes, which is funny because triathletes, it was designed to keep the base bar in place, but you take the extensions off. And it just happens to work out great for a track bike, because now since I don't do the Kilo or Pursuit, not that I ever would want to do Pursuit, but since I don't do the Kilo, I don't need to carry extra handlebars, which also cuts down on weight. And also my handlebars are 27.5 narrow, so they're incredibly narrow, and they definitely fit inside the ears, I call them, for the handlebars, because they're probably designed for 46, 44 minimum with handlebars. And so I'm just making sure my seat in there, because I want to get the weight. When I finally get this all packed, I want to make sure I get the weight correct and not forget something and realize, like, oh my goodness, that was I forgot to put in the seat or the helmet, which I almost forgot the helmet, but I'll get to that later. So I'm getting out my race wheels, and these are my Campy Ghibli. Very expensive, incredibly cool, incredibly light, incredibly strong, incredibly fast disc wheels. If you ever get a chance to hold one of these, it's amazing. And you're going to have to do the drum test and just tap on it, because it's just the coolest sound ever. And also spin them, because the bearings are insane. I'm testing the pressure, the ability of the discs to hold, the tires to hold the pressure, because Victoria had a problem. I have one of these, and they won't respond to my warranty claim, of the valve stem coming off the tube, and which sucked because it was a brand new spanking tire, and I literally pumped it up the second time and it tore off. So, and anyway, so I wanted to just double check before I leave that the tires will hold pressure and the valve stem won't rip off. And these are these are Pista Speed tires. They're second fastest tire, the Oro being the fastest. So now I'm getting ready to weigh this thing. So I got inside the bike case, I have the bike. Right now I don't have the pedals in it because I'm assuming in my head it's going to be overweight. I've got 2 disc wheels, front and rear. I've got a tri-spoke packed in there. And that's the awesome thing about this case that is that it holds those 3 wheels. And I got the seat in there. And my target weight is 23 kilos, which is 50 pounds, 11 ounces. And I am weighing it. If I was smart, I would suspend the scale on the beam that's right above me, because the park scale that I have, when the load is stable, it'll actually hold the weight, so you know what it is. And I'm just like jiggling it and getting tired of holding 50 pounds, and it won't lock down. And at this point, it's like 48 and change. So I'm like, okay, sweet. I'll put the pedals in. And now I realize, crap, I forgot the helmet. And this year I'm going to race with my Laser, I forget the name, Victor helmet. It's their new short tail one. And the only problem is dimensionally it's wider. No, it's not wider, but it's taller than my tried and true Arrowhead and Giro Arrowhead. And I normally put the Giro Arrowheads that's shorter height wise in between the place between the fork and the down tube, and use a nylon strap to hold it, helmet strap to hold, not helmet strap, but the case strap I have on there, shoulder strap to hang it on the frame, so it just kind of sits in there and TSA won't crush it. But the Victor is not shaped that way, so I can't lay it down. But I found, amazingly, that it fits inside that handlebar compartment, because my handlebars are very small, and there's just the space. The only problem is I'm afraid I need to figure out a way to secure it in that pod, handlebar pod, but also so it doesn't fall out, but it's able for TSA to inspect it. Because my fear is it falls out, TSA tries to smash it all in, crushes my disc wheel, crushes the helmet, and other expensive stuff. So I'm got to work on that. I'm thinking a mesh bag. I don't know, like a laundry bag. And now I'm just putting the bike back together, because I'm all done. And the final weight of everything was a touch over 50. No, it was like 49 and change with the pedals. Again, I need to double check this, reweigh this, and then I have to also fit in padded wheel bags. The padded part I'm not sure about. I just need a way to carry my wheels to and from the track. And the added benefit of putting a padded bag inside there is it adds cushion, but the thing is kind of really tight when you close it, and to the point where you're like, if there's any resistance, you're like, is that a disc wheel pushing against something very expensive? But yeah, so it's definitely a process. I told a friend weeks ago when he asked me any traveling advice, and I told him pack early, just so you know like what you have and what you can't take with you. Or, the other option after doing all this stuff is to pay the overweight fee. But at a certain point, you might run up against a situation where there's like, bro, we can't take that, or you're going to pay through the nose. And I just want to avoid that. I want to keep every piece of luggage 50 pounds or less, or up to 23 kilos, or 22 kilos and 999 grams if that's possible, because I don't want to come into any hassle. And normally, in that case, like, you'd be surprised at how much padding weighs. And so I have these frame pads that a very nice Albo. They're called Albo. They're made by Albo, which I don't think they even make them anymore. But they're great because they cushion your frame and everything else. But I weighed it. It's like 2 pounds, 2.25 pounds for just like three pads, and that's not even the full set. And 3 pads, I'm like, I don't need that. There's not enough stuff. It's just so cushioned in there. So that's 2 pounds I can save, where I can put in the wheel bags, which end up being like 3 pounds. So net coming out a little bit heavier. But yeah, thanks for watching. I mean, this is like the minutia of the boring stuff, but the important stuff of traveling while you race a bike. Thanks for watching.